They told her, don't call, don't text, don't stop by, no contact. We don't want you in our lives. But then one day they were out running errands. They show back up at their home and they see a package on the front step. They open it up. It's a handmade photo album labeled first year. They never invited her back into their lives. She just brought herself back in on her own timeline. Today's story is about boundaries, a baby, and a mother-in-law who can't seem to stay in her lane. So a listener wrote in to share her story and ask for help. She wants to know, how can my husband and I reconnect with my mother-in-law? So her and her husband, we're going to call them Rachel and Chris. They have been together since high school. They're high school sweethearts. They've been together for a total of 18 years, so that's a really long time. After a long journey with infertility, they finally get pregnant. So they're really excited. Chris is an only child, so he wants to call his mom. And you would think after knowing their journey, Chris's mom would have something heartfelt to say, like, oh, you guys, I'm so happy for you. I know what you've been through, or, oh my gosh, you guys are going to be a grandma. Like, I'm so happy, just something. But instead she makes a joke. She's like, so that's what you've been doing with all your free time since you've been out of work. Like, it crushed Rachel. Like, Chris just, was like, yeah, he heard the comment, but it didn't land the same way. But after they got off the phone, Rachel definitely made sure Chris knew how dismissive the comment was and just how hurt she was by her mother-in-law's words. They didn't address it. They just talked about it. Fast forward, we get into the holidays. They make sure their family knows no gifts. We're still very early along. We don't want to jinx it. But Chris's mom, she can't help herself. So she buys, clothes for the baby. They don't raise a stink or a fuss. They just say thank you. But then after the holidays, that's when things get ramped up. Now the questions are happening, rapid fire questions that make Chris and Rachel feel like, why are we defending, or why do we have to explain every decision we are making in our adult life? Why does it feel like Chris's mom is managing us? What is going on? Why are you planting a garden? Why are you sending your baby to daycare? Why are you working until right up until your due date? Why? It was crazy. They weathered through it, and then we're getting close to the due date. So they're like, oh, we better tell our family what they can expect. They're not coming to the hospital, so don't come to the hospital. And once we do invite you to the house, you're gonna have to wear a mask, sanitize basically everything, and just make sure your immunizations are up to date. Everyone seemed on board, especially Chris's mom, but when the baby came, it was a different story. So Rachel went into labor 6 weeks early. So that was really scary. And then Rachel had a horrific delivery. It was so traumatic. It just put Rachel and Chris in shock. So after the baby was taken to the NICU, Chris and Rachel were just sitting in the recovery room, just staring at the wall like, oh my gosh. But they couldn't even catch their breath because Chris's phone was blowing up from his mom. Send me more pictures. Why can't I just stand outside the NICU window and just look at the baby? The baby, I need to hold the baby, kiss the baby, It was just constant. And never once in all of her messages did she ever just say how's Rachel? How was the delivery? How are you guys? It was more like the vernacular like I talk about. It was me. Once they did get home, Chris's mom started bringing them meals though. So she would cook homemade meals once or twice a week, but Rachel put a stop to it right away because you couldn't even eat it. I guess it was weird combinations and it just didn't taste good. So they put a stop to it. I do want to say I believe that was super kind. My mother-in-law did the same thing. She's a fabulous cook. I know it wasn't helpful, but her intention was there. So I just want to say that. Okay, so then she keeps pushing. Birth announcements, thank you notes, more photos. It was just constant. And finally they're like, we hit a wall, and we told her we were going to start to limit our responses. And then Father's Day came, and that's where everything flipped. She texted Chris and said, on my way. So this is his first Father's Day. She didn't say, what are you guys doing? Can I stop over? She just announced her arrival. Rachel stayed in the house. He went outside to greet his mom and talk to her. Rachel's like, I couldn't even see her after everything we'd been through the weeks prior. So Chris goes out there. He's trying to talk to her. She's interrupting him, talking over him. And Rachel's watching out the window like, oh my gosh. Like every time she would interrupt him, like he just kept getting smaller and smaller to the point that finally he was just hanging his head at the end of the conversation. So he comes in, Rachel's like, this is ridiculous. Like, Chris, this isn't how it's supposed to be. So with Chris's permission, Rachel sends her mother-in-law a message. She says, your behavior was unacceptable. We need space and we will reach out when we are ready. Her mother-in-law responded, okay. But she didn't mean it. She kept texting, kept calling, kept bombarding them. And then one day they came home to that package, that handmade photo album, first year on the porch. That's when she's like, I can't keep doing this. Like, we are not inviting her back in. So with Chris's permission, Rachel wrote again. No contact means no phone calls, no texts, no packages, no mail. We do not have the energy to brace ourselves every time we see something from you. It reopens the wound. Please stop. We will reach out when and if we are ready, which is great. Nice and clear, just in case Chris's mom wasn't clear. And finally it stopped. She stopped reaching out. But now they're reaching out to us saying, we don't want to be no contact with Chris's mom. We just want to be treated like adults and not managed by her. What can we do? Okay, so I'm just going to walk you through, if this were my family, how I'm interpreting this. Going back to when you first told Chris's mom that you were pregnant, and then she had that dismissive response, like, so that's what you were doing when you were out of work. I would want to understand that comment. And when I read that, right away I was like, oh, I wonder if this mother-in-law is not comfortable in your vulnerability. Like, I wonder if she had to deflect and use humor because it's really uncomfortable for her. Like, that was what I was thinking. Not that it didn't hurt, not that it wasn't dismissive, just trying to understand her a little bit more. Like, maybe she is not a very deep person when it comes to feelings. Then just going big picture, I don't think the mother-in-law knows what she's doing wrong. I don't think she thinks anything's wrong here. It appears to me that she thinks the more I do, the bigger the role I secure in your life. So, she's bringing the meals. Yes, that wasn't helpful. She's asking the questions. It comes off judgmental or critical, but maybe she's trying to show I care. I think she's busy doing, but not connecting. Like, she's not building a connection. She's not hearing your feedback, because I think she sees it as like, I'm doing it, my way, and my way is the right way or the only way. I truly don't think she sees it as managing you. I think she still sees herself as the parent and Chris is the kid. I could be wrong. That's just how it would appear or feel to me. That as far as like, if Chris was my husband, I would have a lot of questions. I'd be like, hey man, when you were growing up, were you ever encouraged to ask questions like, what do you think? How do you feel about that? Like, really encouraged to have autonomy? Like, I'd have a lot of questions, because the way things are shaking out, to me, it appears like the husband doesn't have the skills. He's giving it all, like he shuts down, so then he passes the torch essentially to me. I feel like I have to protect him, so that I become the enforcer, but now I'm in the direct line of fire with my mother-in-law. I'm the bad guy. I'm the one changing her son. That's not fair. So I would, if this were me, I would take my husband to therapy, figure out like how to say no, how to stand up for himself, how to stand up for his family, what it feels like to be supported by me without me having to take on the responsibility of doing it all. And then boundaries will be easy after that. Like, it would be so easy. Like, when you're in the recovery room, just needing to collect yourself, turn off your phone. When she shows up, if it's so overwhelming, like, just let her know ahead of time, we won't actually answer the door. Like, boundaries will be really easy. Like, the constant update requests, I'll call you Friday after I come home, like on my way home from work. Boundaries will be so easy after the first part is explored and done. That's the way I see it, and that's how I would handle it if this were my family. But again, I don't think this mother-in-law thinks she's doing anything wrong. Another book I would recommend you guys read as a couple is Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents by Lindsay Gibson. Total game changer. I hope this helps. And mind your boundary community, what are your thoughts?